Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we head to Barton to see whether a world record was broken with hand-knitted teddies. And we ask your opinions about the new law coming into force banning smoking in vehicles carrying children. And my guest tonight is Ian Bertram, founder of the Drugs in Links organisation, here to tell us the tragic story behind the setting up of it. Welcome to Estuary News, I'm Emma Lingard. Now it's time for the news headlines.
A service offering support for people with mental and physical health disabilities has been put into special measures after being deemed inadequate by the Care Quality Commission. Farringford Care Limited, based in North East Lincolnshire, was found to be inadequate on a number of levels, including not having had a registered manager in place since 2013. Other breaches included inadequate staffing levels, resulting in people not receiving safe care, inadequate support with medicines, resulting in people's health being put at risk, 12 concerns about abuse and improper treatment of clients, which are now under investigation. The CQC found that those who use the service were at significant risk of receiving inappropriate or unsafe care. The CQC has also been providing other care companies with ratings which are all available on their website. The Meadows Care Home in Grimsby has been rated as good, as has Stonecroft Care Home in North Lincolnshire. Meanwhile, Carisbrooke and Ravendale Hall in North East Lincolnshire have been rated as requires improvement. This last weekend, the Harrogate Autumn Flower Show took place and a local man, John Cavill from Barton-on-Humber, won the top Premier Gold Award with his Inspiration Street design. The show was running its 40th year and had over 100 exhibits of plant nurseries alone. A Grimsby charity which has helped youngsters excluded from school faces closure. The North East Lincolnshire Motor Project was established in 1999 to help those facing a life of crime develop their self-esteem. Relying on donations, it costs £90,000 a year to run and is now seeking further funding before making the decision to close its doors. John Bell, project manager, says the future is limited as the cash flow is now critical.
Well, the service is valuable because these young people don't get any practical skills at all. So, and the funding, we do charge a fee for the young people to come. Unfortunately, it isn't enough because we've only got 6 or 8 young people a day. The funding we get doesn't cover all our costing. So we have approached other charities, mainly from London. We have got some money from Comrade Relief, and that tops it up. But unfortunately, at the moment, the funding stream, like a lot of charities will know, is very difficult to find.
That's all from me for now, and don't forget, if you have a news story for us, then don't hesitate to contact us on Grimsby 01472 31553. You can email us on news@estuary.tv, or you can search us on Twitter @estuarytv, or you can find us on Facebook. Bye for now.
Now, how many teddy bears do you need to knit to break a world record? Well, the Guinness World Record for the highest amount of hand-knitted bears is 15,501. One knitting group from Barton is aiming to surpass that, all while donating them to Operation Christmas Child. Dave Nunn went to St Mary's Church in the town to find out how the knitting group were doing.
Knitting is something that's experiencing something of a resurgence, and a group in Barton is taking advantage of the popularity brought about by programmes like the Great British Sewing Bee and using it for a good cause.
It's our shoebox group, and we meet monthly to make things to go in our Operation Christmas Child shoeboxes, a charity that sends gift-filled shoeboxes to needy children around the world.
The group's aim of raising money for Operation Christmas Child has coincided with its Teddy Bear Challenge, which aims to break the world record for the largest number of hand-knitted teddy bears, currently standing at 15,500, which is enough to stretch across the entirety of Barton St Mary's Church. Beyond this, the group also provides a social setting for people of all ages to get together and enjoy something they have in common.
We've been doing the shoeboxes for a couple of years, and we had a lot of enthusiastic helpers, and rather than everybody working in isolation at home, we thought it would be nice if we had a group that met up each month to share their enthusiasm and ideas, and so this is how we've evolved. You get to share ideas, network with each other, share each other's enthusiasm, enjoy a cup of tea together and a chat. It's just a really nice little community sort of base thing.
The group is enthusiastic about its efforts to both directly support and indirectly raising the profile for Operation Christmas Child, and say it's something they'll be continuing for a number of years.
It's really good. Everybody's really enthusiastic about it, and obviously it's such a great charity, so we're all really happy to help with it. We've not started packing yet, but we've got quite a lot of things sort of stored and made up now, so we're just getting the last few bits and bobs we need, and then we'll start packing this month.
Still to come tonight, we find your opinions about the new law coming into force banning smoking in vehicles which are carrying children. And we have the latest in the local sports news. For those families who have loved ones that have an addiction to drug or alcohol, it can have a knock-on effect. Drugs in Links is a support group set up by Ian Bertram after the death of his son Simon, who died aged 24 in 2001 after being found with a cocktail of drugs in his system. Ian joins me now to talk more about the group. Ian, welcome to the studio. Now, this is a tragic story, but one that you've put to good use in one respect to help other people. How old was Simon when he started taking drugs?
Simon was 11 years old. Him and his brother Nicky decided that, you know, that was the thing they done in school, peer pressure, whatever. Yeah. And they got involved with drugs. And I didn't know at the time. I'd split from their mother. The two children were coming around to see me every week. Yeah. And I didn't know for 18 months that they were taking drugs. They were actually functioning quite well.
I was going to say, you were not unlike many other people that probably won't have noticed the signs, I suppose, would you? I mean, when was it when you did realise there was a problem?
I knew there was a problem. One night, Simon came out of my bedroom with some CDs tucked in his trousers. And when I approached him about it, he didn't even realise he had the CDs. And I knew at that point something was wrong. So I contacted the mother, and she told me that there had been a problem for some time. They were both addicted to illegal drugs, heroin in that case. And I just didn't know what to do. As a parent, guilt, shame, denial, embarrassment. I went seeking for help. I was living in London at the time. And there was nothing there. Right. And so there was always this idea that I wanted to start a group for people like myself who was suffering, because it is a 24-hour-a-day, you know, you're suffering for that time.
It is. I mean, the effects on the family then, I mean, what types, I mean, it must be like an emotional roller coaster at times, is it, for you?
Well, you're actually trying to sort the kids out and trying to kind of give them advice. And at the same time, you're trying to get the support and help that you need yourself, because there's sleepless nights. You know, you're lying. You lead the life of a liar. Yeah. You're pretending things are fine, and they're not. So it's a very, very difficult time.
When you tackled Simon about the problems, I mean, how did he work with you to get help? I mean, what was that like?
It took some time. Eventually, he decided that treatment would be a good idea, and so he put himself into Barleywood residential centre in Somerset, and to deal with the problem. And he was there for almost 3 months.
Okay, now we have got some pictures of Simon that we can actually show. I mean, you as a family, you obviously worked together, didn't you, to help him? What led to that spiral which ended ultimately in his death then?
Well, the problem was he came out of residential, he was unrecognisable really. He was a different kid, looked at life differently. But he had a decision to make. Does he move back to London? Not such a great idea. Stay in Bristol, where the residential, or go to Weston-super-Mare. Well, Weston-super-Mare sounds great, seaside place. But really that was his downfall. He went to Weston-super-Mare. He met a young girl. She fell pregnant quite quickly. Pressures of life. And he started to dabble again. Right. And he got involved with a drug-related crime. He blackmailed 2 elderly people, took the dog and blackmailed them. And as a result of that, he got 9 months prison sentence in Dartmoor, which was it was devastating. Again, I just didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, but he came through that. He was fine. He done his time. He got an MVQ in farming. Again, he came out quite unrecognisable. But just before he went into prison, his wife fell pregnant, and he was coming out now to 2 children. Right. Pressures of life, families. Again, he dabbled, and you know, in 13th of October 2001, I got a phone call saying that he'd been found dead.
And it's hard enough for anybody to be able to deal with that, isn't it?
I mean, I can never. I've done quite a few of these interviews, and it never gets any easier.
No.
It's just a constant reminder what people go through. I know what people go through, and there's people watching this now that are going through what I've gone through, and so we need to get those people to come forward.
We do.
We can help.
I'm going to hold it there, but stay where you are, because after the break we're going to continue talking about this, and especially how drugs and links can help people. So join me after the break when I'll continue talking to Ian. We'll also get your opinions about the new law and banning smoking in vehicles, and we'll have the sport. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come, we find out your opinions about the new law coming into force, banning smoking in vehicles carrying children. And we have the latest local sports news. Well, still with me in the studio is Ian Bertram, talking about drugs and links. And before the break there, we were obviously talking about the backstory to this organisation, which is, it was a very tragic story. But as a result of this, you, in March 2014, you decided to set up Drugs and Links, didn't you?
Yes, indeed.
How, I mean, obviously it was what you went through, and you've talked through some of the issues there. How easy was it to get this off the ground?
It was very difficult. I decided to start a discussion group in Louth, and then the following week in Spilsby, and no one turned up to either of these, and I felt really deflated. But surprisingly enough, ITV and BBC got the story, and they contacted me, and it kind of elevated it into a different level, and people were becoming interested. As a result of that, I got my committee together, and support volunteers who we train to get involved. So things have really, you know, gone on leaps and bounds, to be quite honest.
So what do you actually offer people then? Just explain how this network operates.
Well, we offer people emotional and practical support. Because of our experience, life's experiences, we can offer people, we're not counsellors, and I don't think people need counsellors who are dealing with this. They need people who can relate to what they're actually going through. So we can offer, you know, them support, emotional support, telephone support, one-to-one. We've set up Skype, which hopefully, because of the rurality of Lincolnshire, we needed to do that. So we offer all that. We are getting more involved with education, going into schools and colleges and offering drug and alcohol awareness training. And that's something I feel very strongly about. I think it needs to, we get the message out there quite quickly for these children.
Now, one thing that you said, it's always difficult for people to admit that somebody in their family has an addiction because of that shaming. What would you say to anybody sat out there that's thinking, yeah, you know, we're going through this now, but I don't because of what will the neighbours say? Yeah.
Well, we as a society, you know, the media have got a huge responsibility. We need to make people, we need to encourage people to hold their head up when they're seeking help. It's, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous, people sneaking in the back door. We need to make people feel proud that they're going to seek help for a real problem, and it is a real problem. And so, you know, just contact Drugs and Links, and I'm sure we can offer that support that you need.
Because, like you say, it's the support for the family that are going through it, but for the people that are there in addiction. Well, we're running out of time, but thank you so much for coming in. And I just want to let people know the Drugs and Links. If you are interested, you can go to their website, which is www.drugsandlinks.co.uk. but we will put the details on our Facebook page as well. So thank you so much for that,
You're
for
welcome.
coming in.
You're welcome.
From October the 1st, it will be illegal to smoke in a vehicle with anyone under 18 present. It's being done to protect children from the dangers of second-hand smoke, which can put them at a risk of serious conditions, including cancer, bronchitis and pneumonia. We took to the streets to find out your opinion on this new law and whether it's enforceable.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Children haven't got a choice, have they?
No.
Children have got no choice.
Very good. Yeah, I've never ever smoked in my life. No. No, they should get rid of it altogether. But of course, it's money, it's taxes to the government, isn't it?
I think that's perfect. But who's going to, shall we say, enforce it? It don't work. It won't work.
Bit well out of cars and children's way, definitely.
Thanks, brilliant. That's how it should be, really, yeah. Okay. Most important thing, children.
Discrimination on the smokers, obviously it is bad for your health and that, but there's also adverse effects on e-cigarettes, and I don't think they'll be taken into consideration.
They haven't got any say in it, so it's best that somebody sorts it out for them. I smoked when my kids was young and I regret it, so.
Joining me now for a daily look at what's been happening across the regions is Richard Morris. Richard.
Hello, Emma.
What exciting things have happened today?
Well, there's all kinds of things happening. Apparently, Hull Trinity Market, they've basically decided, Hull City Council have basically decided that it's been quiet for too long. The Hull Daily Mail described it as an eerie silence when you go inside. And they've said that they would like to, essentially refurbish it, refit it. All of the stall holders in this article are saying it's really, really, really great. We've basically haven't seen enough investment. We haven't seen enough love from the council for ages. And isn't it a good job that this is finally sort of taking place? And
I know Councillor Mary Glue, who was the former Lord Mayor, is very instrumental in that. So I have asked Dan to look into it.
Dan, our Hull North Bank reporter, I'm sure he will be.
He's going to look into that. Okay, that's Trinity Market. What else have we got?
Eunice Hayes, a resident on Grimsby's East Marsh, has apparently, she feels like a prisoner in her own home on account of the fact that the amount of fly tipping and rubbish, which is done in an alleyway to the side of her house. But the thing is, because the alleyway is classified as a part of her house, it's private land.
Okay.
And so the council won't do anything about it. And she said that Environmental Protection won't do anything about it unless if she pays them. And she said essentially she doesn't want to be paying for picking up other people's rubbish.
Which you can understand.
Which you can completely
but
understand.
But fly tipping seems to be on the increase, doesn't it?
It does seem to be on the increase. And it's not sort of entirely clear why. It's been on the increase for a few years, not just on account of, bin charges or anything like that. I mean, it's been on the increase for a while now. Sometimes you can drive, especially on the way to Immingham, you can drive and you can see in lay-bys that fly tipping is taking place. Yeah. And no one really knows why it's increasing, but she's saying that essentially, if there was a real crisis in her house, if she had a house fire and she had to leave immediately, she wouldn't be able to get out, essentially.
We're nearly out of time, got 30 seconds.
Oh,
quick
okay, so there's been there's been Operation Impact from Humberside Police. They've arrested people to do with drugs, and it's just, basically they're just hailing it a huge success because they've done all this stuff to do with antisocial behaviour and all these.
We do hope to have somebody from Humberside Police and Councillor Steve Bazant from the East Marsh on the sofa either tomorrow or Thursday.
Yes,
right, that's it, Richard. That's all we've got time for. Thank you. Now it's time for reflections, and this week it's the Reverend Kate Toogood from the Team Parish of Louth.
If you live anywhere near Louth or in Louth, it can't have escaped your notice that we've been having some rather fabulous celebrations. The Inspire 500 has been a year of events to celebrate and commemorate the completion of the spire at St James Church in Louth. The events have happened throughout the year, but the climax was last weekend with a choral evensong in church with over 300 people, followed by the most spectacular firework display off the top of the church. But the play on words, Inspire 500, isn't just about the spire, but also about inspiration, remembering the inspiration of those who built the spire to start with, but also questioning what might inspire us today. As part of my work in schools, I've been going around asking children who or what inspires them, and I've had some interesting answers. Sports people, entertainers, singers and actors, some of whom I've never even heard of, as well as monarchs and inventors and scientists from years gone by. But as I've been talking to the children, I've been thinking about who inspires me, and it's actually quite varied. Everyone from the saints of old to people who've really helped shape the world in my own generation, even to my favourite singer. But above all, as a Christian, the greatest inspiration for me is of Jesus Christ, his life, his ministry, his death and his resurrection. So I want to encourage all of us as we celebrate Inspire 500 to think about who inspires us and the reasons why. But more than that, how we could be inspirations to those around us.
Now it's time for the sport.
Hull City midfielder Jake Livermore looks set to return to the Hull City squad on Tuesday night. The one-time England international had been serving a suspension for the use of cocaine, but was acquitted by the FA, with the death of his child cited as a mitigating circumstance behind a failed drugs test. He's in contention to start as the Tigers host Swansea City in the third round of the Capital One Cup. Elsewhere, Grimsby Town are at Wrexham. Defender Richard Tate is likely to miss out due to illness, while striker Padraig Armand and winger Marcus Marshall are both pushing for a recall. In snooker, Q World in Grimsby have stormed to victory in the Premier Division of the Grimsby, Cleethorpes and District Pool League. They played the Birds, Waffles, and emerged with a 9-3 win. They won all but two of the frames in the first section. Daz Cooper and Steve Donner received 8 ball clearances. They only dropped 1 frame in the second half of the match. In other matches, Bluestone Aces beat Birdseye Fishy Fingers 8-4 and Inspiration Fireplaces won against Hayton Hotshots 8-4. Hull City will play against Swansea City on September 22nd, while Grimsby Town will play Southport on the same day. Keep checking Estuary for more fixtures as they are announced. And finally, Nick Magnus Aldis has been in Grimsby today, promoting the international wrestling taking place at the end of October. It's the first time the competition will happen outside of the USA, and it'll be at the Grimsby Auditorium on October the 28th. That's all from me for now, and I'll be back with some more sports news soon. Bye for now.
That's it for tonight. If you have a news story for us, visit our social media pages, email us or call us. Until tomorrow, good night.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Grimsby Institute for a brighter future.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. On Wednesday it's starting dry with bright or sunny spells, but cloud will quickly increase. Some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle with maximum temperatures of 15 degrees. On Thursday it'll be rather breezy with sunshine and showers, some may be heavy.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Grimsby Institute for a brighter future.